I've seen it too many times. You grab a budget gaming laptop because the price looks sweet, only to find yourself wrestling with stuttering frames, a screen that can't keep up, and a battery that dies before you finish the first level. The regret sets in fast, and you end up spending even more to patch the shortcomings. That's why I wanted to see if the Lenovo Legion Pro 5i feels like a smarter buy, or if it's just another high-priced hype machine. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Legion Pro 5i isn't trying to be a budget option. It sits squarely in the premium segment, and that's reflected in the choices Lenovo made for its core components. What matters most to a gamer isn't just raw horsepower on paper, it's how that power translates when you're in the middle of a firefight, streaming to friends, or swapping between a game and a video call. In real-world testing, the combination of a high-end Intel i9 processor and an RTX 4060 with a 90W power envelope gives you headroom for modern titles at 1080p with high settings, and even smooth 1440p play if you're willing to dial a few effects down. The 16-inch WQXGA display is where the laptop starts to stand out. A 165Hz refresh rate isn't just a marketing number. I ran a few fast-paced shooters and a competitive MOBA, and the motion felt buttery smooth. The extra vertical pixels give you a bit more screen real estate for multitasking, which is a pleasant surprise for a laptop that still fits on a typical desk. The color accuracy is decent out of the box, so you don't need a calibrator for casual streaming or content creation. Now, the practical side of daily use. With 32GB of DDR5 RAM, the machine handles game launches, background browsers, and Discord without any hiccup. The 1TB SSD loads Worlds in seconds, and you get the added benefit of having a dedicated partition for your work files or media library. I paired it with an external mouse and a USB-C hub, and the laptop stayed cool enough that the fans barely ramped up during a 30-minute session of Elden Ring. That said, the cooling system is tuned for performance rather than silence. You'll hear a faint whine when the GPU pushes its 90W limit, which is normal for a laptop of this size but something to note if you plan to game late at night in a shared room. One hidden trade-off is the weight and thickness. At just under 5 pounds and a thickness that's a touch more than a typical Ultrabook, the Legion Pro 5i is portable enough to lug between a coffee shop and a dorm, but it's not a carry-it-everywhere device. If you expect to travel with it on a plane and stash it in a cramped overhead bin, you'll feel the bulk. However, the larger chassis does give the keyboard a nice, full travel feel, and the 4-zone RGB lighting is more than just aesthetic. It lets you map colors to different game profiles, which some streamers appreciate for quick visual cues. Who should consider this machine? If you're a serious PC gamer who wants a laptop that can run the latest AAA titles at high settings without constantly tweaking settings, and you also need a solid workstation for video editing or 3D rendering, the Legion Pro 5i checks those boxes. It's also a good fit for streamers who need the extra RAM and storage to handle encoding while playing. On the flip side, if you primarily game on a console, or you're looking for a thin, featherlight laptop for casual indie titles and web browsing, you'll be paying for performance you won't fully use. Likewise, budget-focused gamers who are comfortable with 1080p 60Hz and can tolerate occasional frame drops might find better value in a lower-tier model. A practical strength worth highlighting is the inclusion of Windows 11 Pro and a lifetime Microsoft Office license. Most gaming laptops ship with a basic OS and force you to buy a separate Office suite if you need it for school or work. Here, you get a professional OS with better networking controls and the full Office suite right out of the box, which saves a few dollars and a couple of setup steps. On the downside, the battery life is modest. Even with the power-efficient DDR5 memory, the combination of a high refresh screen and a hungry GPU means you'll get roughly 4 to 5 hours of mixed usage before you need to plug in. That's fine for a desktop replacement you'll mostly keep near an outlet, but it's not ideal for long commutes. Also, the webcam is a standard 720p sensor. If you're into high-quality video calls, you'll want an external camera. The ports are plentiful. You get a mix of USB-A, USB-C with Thunderbolt support, HDMI 2.1, and an Ethernet jack, but the SD card slot is missing, which can be a nuisance for photographers who like to import footage directly. From a value perspective, the price tag is justified when you look beyond the headline specs. The real benefit comes from the balanced combination of a fast CPU, a capable GPU that isn't throttled,